Good morning, everybody. This is Lorraine Ball.
And Jennifer Denney.
And we have a special guest this morning, Jon Tsourakis. Hey, Jon.
Hey, good to see you too.
We are so excited to have Jon. Jon is part of Jon runs the digital mastermind group that both Jen and I have been members of. And Jon, you have a day job. What else do you do?
I'm the president of Oyova.
Yeah. And Oyova is?
It's a software development and digital marketing agency with 2 offices, one in St. Petersburg, Florida, and one in Jacksonville.
Awesome. And Jennifer and I, because we've been part of the group, are familiar with Jon, and we're also familiar with his business partner, David, who I don't think is going to be able to join us this morning, but we're going to talk about him anyway because we're talking about partnership. Right, Jen?
Yep, that's right. Is he typically on time or late?
He's usually on time, so we'll just chalk this up to an anomaly.
I think Lorraine and I are more of, if we're not early, we're late. So that's us.
Yeah, well, I'm with you.
Okay, now full confession. I do this for you, but as I refer to people or explain to people, I'm an optimist. I always believe things will work out. Okay. And I always believe there's enough time to get there.
I always think there's not enough time. We need more time.
So Jen and I are an unofficial partnership, but you and David merged your agencies to create Oyova.
Yeah.
And really, we wanted to talk a little bit about pros and cons of partnerships. So let's start with some of the sunny stuff. Then we'll talk about some of the things you should consider, and we'll finish on wherever we want to finish.
Perfect. The pros are, if it's a good partnership, it's going to be balanced. So you get to work on the things that are your highest and best use, the things that you're good at and also interested in, and vice versa, right? So that is a force multiplier in itself. So yeah. I'd say that's the main benefit. The other is you have somebody to bounce ideas off of. So you, as we know, as being agency owners, you can kind of go crazy. Well, granted, that's why we have a mastermind group and whatnot, so you can have those. So I guess maybe
I am just crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can get wrapped up in your own thoughts, and you can coach each other back and forth, right? So it's like, hey, am I actually seeing this the way that things are, or am I crazy? So I think those are the 2 biggest benefits.
And some of the okay, but no, and I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, okay, well, some of that you can replicate with mastermind partners and things like that, but some of that, the ability to work on things that are specific, kind of your skill set, I think that's a real benefit. What about the downsides? What are some?
Like, I instantly go into, I want my way, and it's my way, and I'm going to do it my way, and I don't want to have somebody else that tells me no.
Yeah. So that is the downside, right? You have to. It's a marriage, so you have to really acquiesce. There's egos, so you're not always going to say exactly what you're going to think. You're like, okay, let's just move this forward. Although we do have a policy where we're as direct as possible. There are instances where this isn't a battle I want to win, so just here, this one's yours. And of course, there are the others. And if it's a balanced partnership, that'll be on the other side. So there's that equanimity that needs to be present at all times. And of course, there's every little instance that's in there. For instance, we have a client that says, the worst ship, their partnership. All the time. And he can't have a partner because I think it's just great guy, but I think it's his ego that's continually in the way. Yeah, he has to be the parent in all situations, or has to be the king in some respects. But other than that, I would say differences based on the way that you go about your work, right? Mm-hmm. So I show up on time, my business partner doesn't. Here's a perfect example.
I feel like I have a lot of silent partners that you mentioned, like Lorraine. I mean, I would consider you like a silent partner. I love listening to you, Jon and David. Just like I'm listening because you guys have a lot more experience than me. I'm not going to always know the answer, and that doesn't mean I'm going to follow what you guys say, but I like hearing the experience.
I love the ability to have collaboration partners where, because Jen, this is a place where you and I are totally the same. It is my way. And
is that a woman thing?
No, I really think I think it is. I think you have to know yourself. That's one of the things I think about being in a partnership, because when I started Round Peg and then I bought the building, I had a partner on the real estate, not on the Round Peg side. And my accountant, he did everything but stand up on the table and scream at me because we were going to do a 50-50 partnership. And he said, it has to be 51-49. Someone has to have the final vote. And we were both like, no, we're good with this. And in that instance, I knew what I was getting into. And so I was okay with that. But I think if you go into a partnership and you're not really clear on who has final say, it can be challenging.
For sure. And I spoke with a mentor before and I said, hey, I have an opportunity. Should I get into a partnership? He gave that piece of advice, right? That one. But he also said, you have partners, like you two just explained. You have partners everywhere. Your clients are partners. He said, so the relationship's only going to be as much of the partnership as you want to maintain. So just don't invest more than you're willing to lose. So for instance, the partnerships that you have, it might just be, hey, we're sharing a podcast together, so on and so forth. And in this instance, of course, it's equity as well as revenue. So if I was to give anybody advice, I'd say make sure that you just know your partner really well before you get into this. Dave and I knew each other 7 or 8 years.
That's what I was going to say. How long were you guys hanging out before it happened?
Yeah. When we first met, we were talking about it from like day one, just kind of joking, right? Like if you're kids and you're in a band, like one day when we make it big, right? Like, but
we're gonna play the garden.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It was kind of that. And then around 2018, we're like, okay, we've been talking about this forever. If we're going to do it, the economy's never been better. Now is the time.
Had you always thought that you wanted a partnership at some time, or was it more of like you met David or whatever, and was just like, yeah, this could work?
Love at first sight. I had a partner before, and it was a horribly failed partnership. There was no communication in there. And you look back, you're like, okay, could I have done things better? Like, probably not. It was kind of doomed from the start. So I was 5 years without a partner, and things just looked great, right? So this is our plan. This is what we plan on doing, and this is where we want to go. So, and I have other businesses where I have partners too. So I don't know if that's something that I enjoy having partners. I think I work really well with others as long as we all can stay in our lanes. But having a bad partnership, which I've gone through, losing tons of money, psychological issues, unfortunately, that there's 3% of the population, no matter what you're going to do, you're incapable of working with them, right? And unfortunately, I found that partner before too.
Bummer.
Yeah, it's all right. College is expensive, right?
Yes. Yeah, and life can be a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
I had some of those. But so would you say, because there's a lot of management books that tell you, you want to find partners that have complementary personality styles, that don't have, the same, don't see the world exactly the same way. How would you classify maybe your personality and Dave's? Are you yin and yang, or are you two peas in a pod?
I'd say so we were just talking about this the other day. So if there was like a Venn diagram, there's multiple different areas where we overlap, right? I think I'm a stronger communicator, promoter. Dave's a great thinker though, right? We share a lot on the vision side. Where he's better at are details. I'm not the detail person. He's great at putting together processes, and he just enjoys continually like polishing something. where I like continually throwing the clay on top. Like, all right, let's get as much on there. And he's just really good at like, smoothing it out. But there's other things we see based on this similar value. So integrity is a big deal, being direct with one another. And I think it's just likability. And I know this might not be the most popular thing to say. You have to like your partner, at least at the start. Right? Some people I talk to and they say, well, it just makes sense. It's like, this isn't an arranged marriage. Okay. Like you're going to be spending time with this person all the time. Like make sure that you like them. So
you just said that too about employees. Like you have to like the people you work with. You have to be able to be on a boat together and be okay with that.
Totally. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, we were going to hire somebody once and everybody was like, well, yeah, she's really nice. We really like her. And we found something on her social media profile that really made us rethink. And it wasn't just kind of one post. It was her whole Instagram feed was like this other personality that came out on Instagram. And the woman who found it didn't want to say anything, but she didn't want to sit next to this woman. And finally she broke down and told like our office manager, and she's like, you have to tell Lorraine. And I'm looking at it going, Jenna, I don't want to sit next to this person.
Yeah.
And I think it makes sense. If you don't, life is too short. Besides everything else, I think life is just too short to spend every day with somebody you really don't like.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You described it though pretty well there, John, just that it's not a yin and yang, that you are complete total opposites. Because if you are complete total opposites, you're not going to get along.
Right.
You just have some things that are in common, but you can complement each other with those things that maybe the other one is not as good at.
Yeah, and it's like the equalizer on a board where there's like some things are going to be higher for one person and lower for each other, but long as those match up, then things tend to work out.
But I think the thing that you hit on that I think really resonated with me is this idea that the values, the common values, those are the same, and the skills are different. And I think that works better than common skills and opposing values.
I once worked on a team where very talented people, but we all had very different values, and it just did not work. And I look back now, and many of those people actually own their own business now, myself included, and didn't at the time. But we were all just very different on our values, that it just wasn't going to work.
Interesting. Yeah.
All right. Well, we are going to probably wrap up here. Jon, two things. One last parting thought on values, on partnerships, advice for someone who's thinking about it.
If you find yourself in a position where you want to excel where you're at, there's a good chance that creating a strong partnership will do that for you. It's going to fill in the gaps.
Awesome. And last, if people want to get a hold of you, where should they go look for Jon Tsourakis?
Couple of places. My name, there's very few, if there's pretty much nobody else that has my name. It's spelled Jon, last name Tsourakis. So you could just Google search it. You're going to land on either LinkedIn or Digital Mastermind or Oyova. So feel free to reach out in any way and shoot me an email, jon@oyova.com.
Awesome. Jennifer.
Yay! And if you want to learn more about Digital Toolbox, then definitely go over to digitaltoolbox.club. Lots of great resources to teach yourself how to do digital marketing.
And if you want to fill in the gaps after you're done hanging out and you want to actually hire somebody to do the heavy lifting, be sure to take a look at elevatedmarketing.solutions.
It's Friday. Let's do this.
Awesome, guys. Have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.